mentioned, this is our Caring for Communities, Health and Wellness in Action session. My name is Risha Tony, and it's my pleasure to be here with you and to be your moderator for today. So the way this session is going to work, I'm going to be giving you a brief overview about Humber. We'll talk a little bit about the credentials we offer, and once that's over, we'll actually get into speaking with our panelists. Once our panelists have answered our questions, we will actually, I'll tell you about next steps, and we'll actually go into the Q&A then. All right, so let's get started.
Bring your talent, drive, and all that makes you, you to Humber, and we'll prepare you to reach your full potential. Apply now at humber.ca/bringit. We are Humber.
Great. So that was just a quick video intro of our new branding called Bring It. And just to give you a quick view of some of the spaces and people who are on campus, and sort of we wanted you to bring all that you have to us, and we can sort of take you to that next level. So where are we located? So we are located in Toronto. This is the Pearson Airport here. We have a North Campus, we have a Lakeshore Campus, and for international applicants, we also have a downtown International Graduate Studies student campus as well. So as you can see, we are in Toronto, but just the West End. So this is downtown, we're in the West End of Toronto, near Brampton and Mississauga. There's lots of places and ways to get to the campus, whether it's by car or by transit. Lots of different ways you can get to us. So this is our main campus at the North Campus. This has about 20,000 or close to 21,000 full-time students. We do have residents for up to about 1,000 students. And one of the things I actually love about this campus is the 250-acre parkland called the Humber Arboretum. So you can see all the trees that are around the campus. So that leads you into the Arboretum, and there's ponds and deers, and sometimes you see little bunnies running around on campus. So even though it's in the city, you can see all this parkland that is around, which is absolutely amazing. Next, we have our beautiful Lakeshore Campus. So this campus has about 12,000 full-time students. It has residents for 400, but this will be increasing in the years to come. And this is nestled beside Lake Ontario. So again, each campus has its own vibe and feel to it. And again, when I'm at the Lakeshore Campus in the summer, I love walking the trails and going down to the lake, and you can actually see downtown Toronto from there. You can actually see the CN Towers, just like a beautiful scene, a beautiful view. So again, both campuses has lots to offer, and they have their own sort of unique feel and vibe to them. So some quick facts about Humber. So we have as mentioned, maybe close to 30,000, 35,000 students. But over the years, we have over 300,000 plus alumni. We have over 200 programs, full-time programs, in 17 areas of interest for you to choose from. From our graduate certificates, we have 150 plus pathways. So this is actually amazing, where students can go into one of our graduate certificates and perhaps, if they choose to, move on and complete a master's. In some cases, students are getting 1 year's credit into their 2-year master's from completing one of the grad certs. And something you should know, because again, I'm sure most of you who are listening in on this call today are maybe considered more non-direct applicants or more mature applicants. So just know that more than 45% of incoming students have previous experience or education. So yes, we have students who are coming directly from high school, but a lot of our students already have experience, and that's exactly what these programs we're talking about today are for. So what do we offer? We offer a wide variety of credentials. So from 1-year certificates, 2- and 3-year diplomas, 3-year advanced diplomas. We have apprenticeship programs, so those can be between 2 and 5 years in length. 4-year bachelor's degrees, and we also have the 1- and 2-year Ontario graduate certificates, which we're going to be talking about today. So I just took a screen grab from our website to show, and I sort of filtered using Ontario graduate certificates, and you can see that we have about 55 Ontario graduate certificates for you to choose from. And if you see here, this purple button that says Pathways, that's where you can sort of click in and see those master's options, right? So lots of opportunities for you at Humber, and also once you're done with us and maybe you're looking to continue your studies, you can continue your studies with us, because some students do take 2 graduate certificates, or you can continue on with your master's programs as well. So with that, that's the end of the overview. As you can see, very, very quick. Right now, what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to ask our presenters, our speakers for today, to come on screen and say hello. Awesome. Great. So thank you both, Catherine and Erin, for being here with us today. It's, as I said, a great pleasure. Anytime we're able to sort of talk about our programs, it's great to actually do so. So what I'm going to say is, for now, Aishma, if you're able to turn off your camera, that would be great. Catherine and Erin, to get started, I'm going to start with you first, Erin. In 2 minutes or less, can you introduce yourself and the program you're representing today?
2 minutes or less. Okay,
Yeah.
that's a big feat.
I know.
Hi, everyone. My name is Erin. I am an Associate Dean within the Faculty of Health Sciences and Wellness. My cluster is known as the Biomedical Science and Health Regulation Cluster. So very, very long name, but here today I'm talking to you about the Health Sector Regulatory Compliance Program, which is an incredible graduate certificate program that we offer. So it's 2 semesters of learning plus 1 semester of internship, which is focused on the world of quality assurance, audit, inspection, and regulatory compliance within a variety of health industries. So it's very, very incredible hands-on learning. Our faculty are from industry, and really our program helps get you career ready, skills focused, so you enter into the workforce in this area ready to go. And so I'm happy to be here today and answer any questions that you may have about this incredible program.
Great. Catherine, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your program?
Absolutely. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Catherine Mettler. I am the program coordinator for the Addictions and Mental Health Graduate Certificate. We are located down at the beautiful Lakeshore campus. So the program is a 3-semester program. It is specifically looking to support folks who are interested in further developing their skills and expertise in serving populations that are struggling with mental health and/or addiction concerns. It's a 3-semester program. And so the first 2 semesters, you're in class and going through lots of different sort of scenarios, lots of different skills and techniques. We're doing lots of role plays, learning how to support people. And then in the 3rd semester, it's the work integrated learning portion, which means that you're out in the field paired with an agency and you're actually working directly with clients, and you have the support of both Humber faculty as well as an agency supervisor throughout that process. So the whole program can be completed in 1 calendar year, and we have entry in both the fall and winter semesters.
Great. Awesome. So Catherine, I'm going to start the second question with you. So can you describe the ideal candidate for this program, and what key attributes should they possess in order to be successful, not just in the program, but in the field and in the field?
Yeah, sure. So with respect to sort of eligibility criteria to come into the program, what we're looking for is for folks who have already completed a bachelor degree. So because it is a graduate certificate, the requirements are the completion of a bachelor degree, but it doesn't necessarily have to be in a field that is, specific to mental health and addiction. Sometimes people are looking to make changes into a new field or do something that is perhaps adjacent to something similar they've done before, but is a little bit different. And so we do encourage anyone who has an interest in mental health or addiction work to apply. And as far as the attributes, I think a desire to serve others, a desire to help people, a general sort of stance of compassion for other folks, and being able to work with folks through some of the most difficult times that they might experience. And so the focus of the program is to ensure that we are supporting people to be able to do that work really well, that we do it with the best of intentions and with the best skills and know-how that we have. And and so I think just the approach that we're looking for is for folks who are open to doing that kind of work and open to learning. And there's a lot of really great opportunities to explore it further.
Great. Thank you so much. And Erin, can you again tell us who the ideal candidate for your program might be and what key attributes they should possess in order to be successful in the program and also in this industry once they've graduated?
Great question. So this graduate certificate actually has a bit of a broader admissions criteria. So we accept students who have a diploma, advanced diploma, as well as a baccalaureate degree in the health sciences or science field in general. This program is really geared towards students who are problem solvers, are, want to get in and figure out what the issue is and then find solutions that follow the rules, regulations, and guidelines to help solve that problem. Students who are interested in health sciences and health in general, but are interested in working in a variety of sectors, not necessarily just within a hospital or clinical setting. As this program is offered with both synchronous and asynchronous online delivery, students who are really good at time management, organized, would be a really good fit for this program. Did I get all the aspects?
I think so. I think so. Awesome. So Erin, I'm going to start this next question with you. Compare your program to similar offerings at other colleges and universities. So how does this program compare?
Great question. So, I have the video loaded up. I will share after about the program in the chat. And so the most similar program that is offered out there is the Regulatory Affairs and Quality Operations program at Seneca. And the biggest difference between that program and our program is actually the depth and breadth of knowledge. In this program, students will learn alongside, they will collaborate with our regulatory affairs program, because in the workforce, those two roles do definitely work hand in hand, but you'll get a much more in-depth knowledge and exposure to the skills required in the quality assurance and the quality compliance side of the house than you'll get in other programs. So that's really where we stand apart, is that you'll work together and learn, okay, so a regulatory affairs professional, their scope, and here my role takes over here, and here's how we would work together. So there's a lot of interprofessional education and collaboration that will happen in the classroom to, again, best prepare students for what they will experience going out and working as a regulatory compliance professional.
So as a follow-up, can you tell us the difference between regulatory affairs and this program? Because again, they're very closely linked. And you mentioned that quality assurance, that piece is like a bigger piece. So what's the difference between those programs?
Very good question. And I guess to get it down simply, regulatory affairs is going to be much more focused on getting a product ready to go to market. Okay. But now once you're in the market and now we want to see, how the product is doing, are there issues, are there recalls, are there things that need to be changed and modified? That's where the health sector regulatory compliance officer will come in and then work back with that regulatory affairs professional. So they sort of take over at a certain point and have their touch points back. So synergistic roles, different scopes of practice.
Perfect. That's great. I've always wondered. So that's great. Catherine, can you sort of tell us how this program compares to other similar offerings at Humber or maybe at other colleges and universities? For example, I know some programs have just addictions or they have just mental health. So what makes this program unique?
Yeah, so I think you've already hit on one of the first things there. We do try to ensure that folks are able to leave the program, graduate from the program with the skills required to support folks who are dealing with either issue. But what we know is that quite often folks are struggling with both. And so a lot of the folks that we might work with post-graduation are seeking support for both mental health and addiction concerns concurrently. And so what we do is we try to ensure that students are prepared to be able to support folks with really the sort of plethora of experiences there. Right. Another key feature I would say is that we do take a sort of social determinants of health model and approach, so a very holistic approach. So it's not just looking at mental health issues or mental health concerns or addiction concerns as a biological concern or as a physical sort of health concern. They are those things, but they are also difficulties that people are experiencing within a social world. also think we look at those social determinants of health as part of how we actually support healthy outcomes and healthy well-being for folks. So I think that's one of the key features of the program at Humber. There are some other programs who take a more sort of medicalized approach.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that social determinants of health holistic idea to supporting people.
Great.
I would do also for folks who might not have a bachelor degree, just because I did mention that the entry requirement to this program is a bachelor degree. I do want to just take a moment to flag that Humber also offers a bachelor program. It's a bachelor in social sciences. Specifically for mental health and addictions as well. And so if folks listening are saying, well, this sounds really interesting, I'm really interested in the field, but I don't have the bachelor degree yet, no worries. We still also have the ability to support your learning in the field with the bachelor degree that we have here at Humber as well.
Right. And if maybe you have a diploma or advanced diploma, say in social work or another similar program, you can get advanced into that degree and sort of complete that degree instead of 4 years, for example, maybe in 2 years or so. So great plug. Next question, Catherine, I'm going to start with you. So can you please address any common myths or misconceptions that students may have about the program or about this field of working in this field?
Yeah. I would say that I think sometimes there is an idea of what mental health support looks like. And so a lot of people might imagine sort of the classic, therapist role where you're sitting in a room and someone comes and speaks with you about what they're, challenged with.
Right.
For an hour and then they leave and they come back next week, and that's what mental health care looks like. But I would say what it often looks like, specifically, I'll speak to the context of Ontario and mental health care in Ontario. A lot of our graduates actually go on to work in they're publicly funded community-based agencies. And so our graduates are going into places that are doing addiction treatment, mental health treatment. We're looking at outreach programs. We're looking at supportive housing programs that are specifically looking to house folks who are experiencing homelessness, who have significant mental health concerns, for example, people who are exiting the criminal justice system. So what I would say is that, the spectrum of employment and opportunities that come with an ADMH graduate is quite vast, actually, because mental health, as you might imagine, touches quite a number of different aspects of social services, of healthcare services. And so having this background can allow people to really sort of draw from the skills and expertise they learn and go into quite a number of different service settings.
Great, thank you. I feel like maybe I should be taking this program. That's great. So again, Erin, with your program, can you address any common myths or misconceptions that students may have about the program or about the industry?
Sorry, my internet cut out there for a moment. Can you say that again, please?
Sure, no problem. So can you address any common myths or misconceptions that students may have about this program or about the industry?
Oh, good question. So I think the first myth, and this is one we get quite often, is, as you mentioned before, the difference between regulatory affairs and regulatory compliance. As I said, they are synergistic, but we often find that students who apply to the regulatory affairs program are interested in more of that audit work, which is actually the health sector regulatory compliance programs. So I think really if, breaking those two roles apart and, looking at, in this case, that regulatory compliance part in terms of audit, in terms of inspection, in terms of quality assurance, that is an amazing role to get into. And it's a great role because you're not just limited to the pharmaceutical industry. And this is where industries such as medical devices, even the, looking at natural health products, there's a whole variety of industries in which this regulatory compliance role is very, very needed and, very in demand today. So we are definitely seeing a big demand for this worker. And the great thing about this program is that you're not just sitting in a classroom getting lectured to for 14 weeks. You're working on projects and challenges that you would see in industry. So when you go out, you have a portfolio to be able to showcase, I know how to do this. I know how to use the tools that you're using in your company. So students come out very well equipped to be very successful in the field of regulatory compliance. Great,
thank you so much. So Erin, I'm going to start with you. Can you discuss any available pathways for your program and also maybe other future pathways as well? So maybe when we're talking about pathways, like what credentials, we already talked about the credentials, but what specific programs, like what are you seeing students have as their diploma, advanced diploma or degree, but also what else maybe that we're not seeing that you're saying, you know what, if we had these students or they were in these programs, they would actually be a really good fit for our program.
That's a really good one. So we see a lot of people who are coming back for retraining, often who have advanced, degrees, oftentimes from other countries, and they weren't able to necessarily find work in their original, fields. We have a lot of dentists, for example, doctors. But I think if we look at the programs we offer within Ontario, for example, if you're a pharmacy technician graduate, a biotechnology graduate student, so you have a diploma in those areas, this is a great path to extend that knowledge and apply that knowledge in a new field. We've also had students from bachelor's degrees. So for example, we have a bachelor's in workplace health and wellness, and we found students actually pathway and transition very well into this program with those skills. So there isn't one program that is a great fit, but if you are curious and you are a problem solver and you have that health and science background, it's a great program to explore.
Great, thank you. And Catherine, I'll repeat the question. Can you discuss any pathways or any program types, fields that would be a good fit for your program?
So similar, as Erin was saying, I think there's so many opportunities for folks who might be coming from different, possibly related programs to this program. So we do quite often get folks who have a background in psychology, and that of course serves you well. But I would also say that we do have a number of people who come to the program who are looking to transition out of a former career or a career that they've had, and they're looking to make a bit of a shift. So we've had people who come from a nursing background, people who come from occupational therapy. Yesterday I spoke with a potential student who has a background in law. We've had people come from law enforcement, from child and youth care. And as I mentioned, I think because mental health and addiction work can touch so many different social services, really, if your motivation is to be working with people, to be supporting people, then this is a great program for you to explore, because it allows you to develop and refine some of those skills that you can then take into many, many different industries. So we both receive folks from many industries, and we also allow folks to sort of go forward with the skills that allow them a breadth of opportunities post-graduation.
Great. I love that. And that's one of the things I actually love about our graduate certificates. For the most part, you can have a background in a certain field. So for example, like the health sector, like regulatory compliance, so in health, but a lot of our grad certs, you can have any background, you can have any degree. So for example, sometimes I have students who have completed an English degree. I'm at a university and I'm speaking to them and they're like, yeah, I have English, but I've always been interested in this area. And it's like, yes, you can apply for this program, right? And we can sort of take what you've learned, the critical thinking, these pieces, and sort of apply to this specific field. So the grad certs, I think it's almost like this hidden gem. And when I do my programs, I call a lot of them hidden gems, because these are amazing opportunities for you to sort of delve deeper into what you've already know, or to sort of change careers and change direction and go into something else completely, which is amazing.
I can add to that too. I think that you can complete, at least I can't remember, sorry, Erin, how long your program is, the one you're speaking to today, but for this, it's 3 semesters, right? So for ours, you can complete it in 1 calendar year. So it's not like it's asking another 4-year investment of education, right? But it's actually a intensive. It is work. It is a lot of work and a lot of learning. But then after 1 year, which it goes by so quickly, students graduate, they're sort of like, I can't believe how fast that went.
And how much I know.
And how much they've learned, right? Like it's an incredible thing to watch. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Great. So can you explain, I know, Catherine, I'm going to start with you. Can you explain the delivery model of your program, the delivery mode, and what flexible options are available as part of it?
So currently our delivery mode is completely in person for the first 2 semesters. So that means that in-person classes on campus. We have had some discussions about what it might look like to shift that, but currently that's the state of things. And part of that is that we, at this time, we're really wanting to ensure that the quality of education we're providing is as the best we can. And because this is such a person-centered field, we really try to encourage there's a lot of working with each each other. There's a lot of role playing that we do in person. There's a lot of discussions in class. And so, right now the learning is all in person. And then in the third semester, you're on site at the agency where you're doing your placement. And so we do have sort of classes that are attached to that third semester as well. Those classes happen virtually. So we do offer the opportunity for folks to connect virtually at that point. But yeah, it's on campus at the Lakeshore campus. With respect to the schedule, we do try to modify it because we recognize that students have quite a number of other responsibilities. So we do our best to try to make sure that the schedule is condensed so that you're not traveling to the campus 5 days a week, for example. You're able to sort of come 3-4 days a week. And so that allows people to also have a bit of flexibility with respect to their other responsibilities.
Okay, great. Thank you. And Erin, I'll repeat the question. And I think you've touched on this already a bit, but can you explain the delivery mode of your program and what flexible options are available?
So this graduate certificate is offered in an online synchronous format. So what we've tried to do with this program, because we know, as Catherine mentioned really well, a lot of our learners have other responsibilities. They have families, they have people that are dependent on them and their care. Many of our students, actually most of our students, are working. And so the courses are scheduled online, predominantly in the evening, to again best support that, all of our learners. Courses are scheduled synchronously, so you'll log into a link just like you have here, and you'll interact with your peers, with your instructor, to go through that content. And then in our third semester, there is an internship, which, depending on the industry you're working with, the company you're working with, it can be on site, and depending how many days a week, that'll be up to the company you're working with. We do have some courses where some components are offered asynchronously, which means you'll do that learning on your own. And again, that will be course dependent, and that will be clearly laid out in the critical path. And again, that offers students just a little bit more flexibility. So the times that we are face-to-face online, there's intentional learning that best happens from that face-to-face and synchronous learning. And where we can, we do have that asynchronous learning component as well. And I will again plug that field experience in semester 3 is just such a great opportunity to get out there, to work in industry. I always say it's the best impression you can make, and it's the best way to make a great impression and showcase what skills and abilities you do have. So I can't say enough how amazing that internship semester really is.
Well, you can actually say more, because that's my next question. Can you detail any placement opportunities within your program, including the duration, placement locations, responsibility for finding the placements? If there are any, if you can give us some examples of where students might be working, that would be great as well.
Oh, this is a good one. So in the second semester of the program, we have an entire course called Professional Preparation, which will help get students ready to go out on placement. Everything from learning, key things to put on your resume, triggering keywords to use in an interview that showcase, that skill and ability, writing great cover letters. All of those skills will be taught and supported by both our program coordinator and our work integrated learning officer. So you have a lot of support to get ready to go out for internship. And our work integrated learning officer and our program coordinator work very closely with our industry partners to provide great opportunities. And we also have students who sometimes work in the related field and also bring opportunities forward that they're interested in. And as long as those meet our criteria, students can work in those areas as well, which can be really great because sometimes students don't have to leave a current company that they work for. They can just have a slight shift in their role, and they've met their requirements for the field experience term. The field experience term is a full semester, so it's around 450-ish hours field experience, and there are evaluations that are done by a student's direct supervisor. So the best person who can speak to how a student is doing is the supervisor who is directly mentoring them. So that's one of our key requirements when a student goes up, a direct person to help and support them. As well, they have our work integrated learning officer, our faculty and program coordinator to help support them on that during that field experience term with any questions, struggles, or learning that they want to accomplish. So they're very, very well supported while they're out. Field internship or field experience is over, and then once all those hours are met, we get to watch our students cross the graduation stage, and that's always a highlight for us when we watch our students be very successful and convocate.
Yes, yeah. Convocation is a very exciting time. And Catherine, for you, can you detail any placement opportunities within your program, including the duration, placement locations, and responsibility for finding placements, and maybe some examples of where students are or doing their placements?
Yeah, for sure. So very similar to what Erin mentioned, we also have a professional practice course, which is in first semester. And the idea is to get folks prepared with their resume, their cover letters. We understand a lot of people have those things in place already, but the idea is to tailor it to the addictions and mental health field. We get your LinkedIn profile up and ready. We talk similarly about, key phrases, key words, key things to be thinking about as you go in the interview process. In second semester, students typically start reaching out to different agencies to see whether or not they would be able to take on a placement student. That is supported by a placement advisor that we have who is dedicated to the program, supporting students to find placements in the field. You are able to do your placement anywhere in Canada. And so there are some folks who might have an interest in going to another province, going into more remote communities. And then there are times where people also come from other towns or cities outside of Toronto, and they're wanting to do their placement close to home or close to where they plan to settle. And so that's also an option. Similarly, we also require that there be a supervisor on site at the agency who is able to sort of support the student, supervise the student, and also provide some of that ongoing feedback and evaluation. And so the placement is in third semester. It is 14 weeks long with a reading week in between. And the total number of hours is 280, which works out to about 3 days a week. So at 3 days a week, plus a couple hours every other week where you're doing an online class component. And then once those are finished, again, we get to celebrate with our students crossing that graduation stage. I would share too that, one of the questions that comes up quite often is whether or not they are paid placements. And just it's actually negotiated between the agency themselves and the student. And so similarly, if the student is already employed in the field and that place of employment is willing to take them on as a placement student as well, and also the experience that they have in that place of employment is aligned with the program learning outcomes, then students are able to complete their placements in those ways. At other times, they're going into agencies, and it is considered more of, it's a student learning opportunity. Some of them are unpaid placements. But that is negotiated between the placement agency themselves and the student.
Okay, great point. Erin, can you speak to whether the placements for the health sector regulatory compliance program are paid or unpaid?
Great question. We get that all the time. So similar to what Catherine said, our placements can be anywhere in Canada, and it really will depend on the company. And so we have some companies who will pay. We have other companies who do sort of like a stipend or an honorarium, and others that are unpaid. So we have seen a big range. We advocate as best we can for paid placement opportunities, but it is up to the discretion of the different companies and where they are in their budgets and fiscal years, et cetera.
Great. And that sort of leads into the next question I have. And Erin, I'm going to start with you. And it's about employment. So can you please share the employment rate of your graduates, including whether they find full-time or part-time jobs, typical job locations? I think you mentioned the placement location, and expected entry-level wages. And one of the questions I want to add on top of it, even though that's already a lot, how many students, because I know how important the placement is, but can you speak about how important the placement is for students maybe getting their first job from that placement, or using the experience that they've had and on that resume and on LinkedIn to sort of move into their next placement, into the working world?
Yeah, and so I don't have the numbers offhand. We are a relatively new program. We've only been around. This is our third cohort, so we don't have official data, but the unofficial data that we do have shows very nice employment rates after graduation. As you mentioned, a lot of them are within the places that they have done their internship, because they spent 14 weeks showcasing their skills, their ability, and companies, if they can, are very eager to take on learners. We have seen our students progress very quickly to manager roles and really climb up that chain because they are so well prepared. So if you look at the video I plopped in the chat, it shows a great showcase of our learners and what they have been able to accomplish. Another great thing is that all of our instructors also work in the field and have many, many years of experience in the field. And they also help students network and have been a continuous source of support for them even after they've graduated. So that's another great plug I would say for our faculty, is that they are these leading industry experts.
Right. Perfect. Great. And Catherine, I'll repeat the question, AS, and I will try to remember the piece that I added. So can you tell us and share the employment rate of your graduates, including whether they find full-time or part-time employment, typical job locations, and expected entry-level wages? And then if you can sort of add on and tag on to this, the pieces on like students moving from the placement into the working world and how those sort of are interrelated and they connect.
So, sorry, I was focusing on the second part of your question. So the employment rates. So we've been in running the program now for about eight or 9 years.
Already, wow.
Our graduation employment rates have been very successful, very high. So consistently above 85% within 6 months of graduation, and employed within the field. So our students are doing quite well. Our alumni are doing quite well. And what actually I've really loved is that because I've seen I taught the very first cohort that went through this program, and because they've been in the field for 8 years now, they've leadership roles. So now they're managers and directors in agencies that have been employing them. So that's also really great to see that sort of growth. So we hold a really great reputation in the sector. And yeah, I would say that the preference for full-time or part-time, it really depends on what's happening in the sector. There's a number of different factors, but both are certainly available. In terms of job locations, there's a lot of funding right now going into mental health and addiction care. And so there's a lot of, like I said, different sectors that are employing people who have this background, and people are working all over the province. And then in terms of wages, I would say ballpark entry-level position is about $50,000 a year. But again, this is really, again, dependent on location and cost of and all sorts of different factors as well. To your question about the placement, I actually recently, we had our fall convocation just about a month ago, and I was speaking to a number of the students there who finished their program in August, and quite a number of them had been employed and hired on by the placement agency, because as Erin said, it makes sense. You've just had a 14-week long interview.
Yes, exactly. That's what I say. It's an interview.
Absolutely. And so, you know, a lot of the agencies are just like, this is great. We already know you had a position come up, please.
Yes, we don't have to train you again. You already know our company. You already know the culture. You've been here for 4 months. Like, why would we go somewhere else if we can keep it? We have an opening.
Yeah, absolutely. So quite a number of them were hired by their placement agencies, which of course they're all very excited about. And yeah, and it's really great to sort of, as I mentioned, sort of see them grow in their career as well over the years. It's been really a pleasure to watch. Yeah.
Great, perfect, thank you. So Catherine, I'll start with you for the next question. And so this is it. We've talked about employment. Now let's talk about continuing studies and where students are going. So can you discuss where students tend to continue their studies after completing the program, and describe any pathways, articulation agreements, and availability in the Explore Pathways module, if you're aware of it?
Yeah, so this is something where you know, a lot of folks have talked about how their intention is to move on towards master's degrees after the program, and they're taking the ADMH program because it gives them two things. One, it gives them the ability to demonstrate on paper, look, I've taken graduate level courses, I could do this, right? And so if they do have an interest in further education, it supports that application process. The folks who go on to further education tend to be looking at a master's in social work, master's in psychotherapy, master's in counseling, and there's a number of different programs that are available, you know, within Canada. Our professors also, as Erin mentioned, you know, we're working in the field, and we're also, you know, teaching in the field, and so it's really great to be able to provide students with academic references to support their application as well, to say, you know, this is someone who showed up and really engaged in their learning, really grew as a practitioner. And so that's one of the strengths, I think, as well, for folks who are interested in further education. This is helping you get to that next step as well. And then for people who are looking for more experience, right? So sometimes what's happening too is that the master's level programs are so highly competitive. So it's not just your academics now, but they're also at, your statement of interest. What else are you doing outside of school that demonstrates that you have the ability and capacity to be doing this work, that you're bringing some level of sort of experience. And so because we have the placement, and because this is a program tailored to those subject matters, then students are able to demonstrate as well that they have some experience in the field, that they've been able to, get a supportive letter from their placement supervisor. So someone who actually works in the field is also supporting their ability to pursue further education.
Great, thank you. And Erin, can you again discuss whether students tend to continue their studies after completing your program? I know the program is fairly new, so you might not have this information, and potentially describe any pathways, articulation agreements that might be available.
So in this program, we've seen that the majority of our learners are not going on for other degrees because this is sort of that terminal credential for them, able to enter the workplace in a role that is exciting to them and with great growth opportunity because they have the skill set, the knowledge, and the credential required in the field. So we really are seeing that most of our learners are working in the field and being very successful and growing in leadership and managerial roles very, very well and very, very quickly in many cases. So we are not seeing a lot of return to school, which is great because I think that really showcases that our students are getting that learning that they need and meeting the industry needs for the knowledge and skills that they need to be excellent in the regulatory compliance field.
Great. Erin, I'm going to go to you for this next question. Can you highlight any specific scholarships or awards offered by your program?
Ooh, that's a really good one. Off the top of my head, I do not have any that I can think of other than the, transfer, those who have, I'm trying to think. We do have some specific to the Faculty of Health Sciences and Wellness, and the names of them at the moment are escaping me, but there are a number of scholarships and opportunities available to our learners. And there was excellent communication from the Faculty of Health Sciences and Wellness. There's excellent communication from the Registrar's Office when these different scholarships become available, so students can apply to them, or if they are scholarships or they are nominated by their faculty. We see a lot of that happening within our faculty as well.
Okay, great, thank you. And Catherine, can you highlight any specific scholarships or awards offered by your program?
So same thing. I would say that there are quite a number within the Faculty of Community and Social Services. We also have some that are specific to ADMH, and they are academic awards. Erin mentioned the registrar. I'd also just flag that we also have a financial aid office here at Humber, and they are very supportive in being able to identify grants, bursaries, opportunities to, reach out and get some of that funding if that is sort of a barrier for folks who are interested in pursuing further learning. So there are some faculty-specific awards that we do have that are accessible to ADMH students. We have some faculty-nominated awards. And then there's also the financial aid office that I would encourage folks to reach out to because they're also well-versed in all the different opportunities.
Great, thank you. And Catherine, it's not on the list of questions, but it just came to me. So get ready, both you and Erin. How do we, and I think this is like with the colleges, we're so connected to industry. So can you speak to how we stay relevant, how our programs stay relevant, how we sort of move with the trends, how we sort of maybe anticipate trends that are happening in the field? How do we do that?
Yeah, great question. So I would like to say that we actually try to do this very proactively, and we do that. There's a number of different ways. So I'll just speak to ADMH. We have a program advisory committee that is made up of industry experts, as well as some of our alumni. So as I mentioned, some of our alumni have moved into leadership roles as well. And so we meet with our program advisory committee on a regular basis to ask exactly that question. What are you noticing? What's happening in the field? What do we need to be considering in terms of what we're teaching in our classrooms to ensure that students are fully prepared to be entering the workforce as it is today? Because it has changed from 10 years ago. And so sure we're constantly checking in very proactively, specifically asking our program advisory committee that question. I would also share that quite a number of the faculty work in the field. So we all continue to do, various sort of, we have various positions within the field. So anything from sitting on the boards of directors to direct practice to private practice to manager, or director sort of level positions in different agencies that not only take our students for placement, but also employ our alumni. And so we're very, very connected to that. We also have one of the things I love is there is a little bit of a community, I think, in ADMH. And I have alumni who reach out to me 2, 3, 4 years later and say, hey, I just wanted to give you an update on, how things are going. And so it's really great to stay connected to people in that way as well. There's also, I would share that there's also opportunity for us to be doing research. And so I'm not sure if this was, I can't remember if this was perhaps mentioned, but Humber does have a Center for Social Innovation under the umbrella of different research sort of bodies that are embedded at Humber. And so we're also trying to, look at how we connect industry with students and look at what are the common issues, what are the difficulties that we're experiencing in our sector today, and what are the ways that we can be creative, explore new options in terms of trying to address those larger systemic issues. And our students have the opportunity to be part of that as well.
Right. And as you mentioned, like the program has been around for a while. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to ask that question, because I'm sure it's changed. The whys and the hows of that. And I think sometimes that's a concern for people who are looking at our programs, applicants who are looking at us, is like, well, once I graduate, is this going to be out of date? Like, is like, how do we actually stay connected? So that's one of the great things about the college system. Every program has a pack. Right. But also like just staying and keeping on the pulse of what's happening in industry and making sure that the training that we're giving students are like it's up to date and it's relevant to what they're going to be going into. And with that, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
When we do get that feedback, just to share that it does get implemented. So we do program reviews, for example. Our program learning outcomes have evolved from what they were 10 years ago.
Right.
And that is in direct response to what we've heard from our industry partners to make sure that we are moving along with the times and ensuring that we're providing the most sort of cutting edge, educational experience for folks.
Perfect. Thank you. And Erin, your program is newer. So did you use the PACs to then help create the program? Like, how did the program come to be? Right. So we have one program that's a little bit further ahead. So like, you can see how my mind works. Like, I'm always trying to sort of figure out how things are happening and how things are working. But I think it's also important, like these processes is also important for anyone listening to sort of know how we come up with these programs and how we sort of keep them relevant.
And so when the program was put together, again, there was a program advisory committee that was consulted. We had a program advisor who's now our program coordinator, who is an industry expert, has worked in the field for more years than he will let me say on a recorded screen, so I will not admit that. And they all help shape the program. And while the program is new, for example, every year we get into our PAC meeting and the experts on that panel come out and say, hey, this is a new trend, or this is a new regulation, whatever it is. And that content gets translated directly into our courses. So courses are always growing and evolving so that the most current, up-to-date information is being taught to our learners. If there's a new tool that has come out that has become an industry accepted standard or norm to use, we bring those out to our students so that even though we're a new program, we're still growing, we're improving year after year to make sure that everything that is being taught in the classroom is best preparing our learners. And the other great piece about having our faculty being industry experts is that on top of having a PAC giving us information, they're able to contribute a lot as well. So we get the entire faculty team around a table and we brainstorm, and we actually have a great picture of all of us doing this, then just improve small little things. They're saying, hey, we noticed that students were struggling, for example, with this concept, and it's so important that we get a strong foundation here. And we're always growing and improving our courses because our faculty are just, I'm very biased when I say this, but I speak from the heart and the truth. They are just the most incredible group. They care so much about the industry and about our learners. And their goal is just to make sure that they are best equipping our learners to be successful. And that passion is translated from their hearts to the classrooms and back out into the workplace. And as an associate dean, to see that, there's just so much pride there. If you can't tell,
we can tell. We can tell. And Erin, can you actually just touch on this, because I actually wrote this down, and I love how every time you answer a question, you sort of lead into the next question that I have, and it's about like the fact that a lot of our professors are still in industry, right? How does that actually impact the program, that they're not just teaching? A lot of them are actually still working in industry, whether you spoke about, sort of helping to keep the program relevant and sort of help to make the program better. But how does that translate into students finding jobs later on? Like I know I'm on LinkedIn and I see like PCs and professors, and they're posting jobs and they're doing all these different things. So how does that, how does that help with like the job finding, the placement finding process?
Oh, so I'll use an example. So we had a situation where, a learner graduated the program and they were, applying for jobs. And when they apply for a job and the reference that comes in is a faculty member, and, the, hiring manager goes, wait, oh, I know this person. I've worked with them. And if they're saying you're good, I really value that. That's a lot of weight. Yes. And it also helps because when our students are networking and engaging with, for example, something like LinkedIn, tapping into our faculty and their connections and their resources, again, it helps to give them open more doors and more opportunities. And it also helps because when a faculty member can give an example of something that they've seen in industry, a current issue or challenge, and then the student gets out and does an interview and says, in looking at this and this scenario, and the hiring committee goes, oh, they're current and up to date, right? That helps a lot because it shows it on the pulse of what's going on. So what our faculty bring to our learners is immeasurable, and them being in industry is such a gift that we have and we all benefit from.
Perfect. Catherine, did you want to sort of add anything to that?
I mean, I think Erin covered it all. I think, to share an example, because we have faculty who are working with clients, so they bring, for example, when they're teaching and they're sharing or talking about a particular concept, they'd be like, so when I met with this client yesterday, when I met this person this morning, this is what they were presenting, this is what I said, this is what I did, this is how I supported them. It's those real-time examples. So we're not pulling from, a system that is 20 years old or from experiences that are 20, even though they've been in the field that long, still they're pulling from what's happening currently, like literally that week. And so I think that offers a real, a very rich contextual understanding of what the work looks like post-graduation. And as Erin said, I think our sector is quite large, but it's small enough that a lot of people know each other. And so if I get a reference from a former colleague that I see this person is speaking positively about this student, and the trust that I then have in that reference is amplified. And so that, of course, just helps students along with their own employment goals.
Right, great. So that comes to the end of the questions. I haven't thought of any more yet. But Catherine, I'll start with you. Do you have anything else you want to add? Maybe anything we didn't cover that you might want to touch on about your program, or any last words basically for anyone attending or who'll be looking at this later on?
Yeah, I mean, I'm also quite biased, I think, when I talk about
we all are.
part in this program since its inception. And so I love our students. I think it's such a great opportunity for people who have just such an interest in learning and growing their skills. And I love to see the success, and it, it's so heartwarming when students do reach back out years later after graduation and say, do you remember that day you talked about this? I used that in my group yesterday, and it's years later, but they're still sort of drawing on their experience at Humber. And so it's really lovely. So I'll just put out there, if anyone has any questions about the program, any lingering doubts or any just concerns or anything that they would like to sort of explore further, that my contact information is on that ADMH website. I encourage people to check out the websites that we have for our programs. On the ADMH website, you can go and you can see all the courses that are given each semester. There's a little blurb about each course, what it includes, when it's offered, and so you can get a real feel for the specifics about it. But again, if you have any questions, I'm really happy to respond by email, book a Zoom call together, or even meet in person on campus. So just putting it out there as a final reach out if there's anything else that comes up.
Okay. And if you can put the link to the program in the chat after, Catherine, that'll be great. And maybe can you just say out loud what your email address is, or what the contact, or if there's a different contact where people or folks can sort of reach you, because again, we won't, if it's in the chat, it won't sort of come across on the recording, but.
Yeah, so with respect to finding the program webpage, if you just Google ADMH, which is our acronym for the program, ADMH Humber, the first hit will be our program page, but I will put it in the chat as well. My email address is my first name dot last name at humber.ca. So it's Catherine, KATHRYN .Mettler, METTLER at humber.ca.
Perfect. Thank you, Catherine. And Erin?
So I guess I'll wrap up by saying, you know, the Health Sector Regulatory Compliance Program is an incredible program. Students are really getting hands-on, innovative teaching, and really you're going out very well prepared to be very successful in the field, and are supported by an incredible team of faculty, our incredible program coordinator, Cheyenne Mohammed, who was unable to be with us today. So I'm filling in for him, and I hope I've done him justice.
I think so.
I hope so. So I've put in the chat the program webpage, but if you Google Health Sector Regulatory Compliance, or HSRC, which is our acronym at Humber, you'll find the program page right away. And as Catherine said, our contact information is there, more information about courses and internship, and you can actually also read student testimonials. So as we said, we're biased, we love our programs, and we love our faculty and all of that stuff. So don't just hear it from us. Look at our student testimonials. The video I've posted as well, if you Google Health Sector Regulatory Compliance Humber, there's a great little YouTube video that comes up where our students are speaking to and showcasing the program as well. So those are great resources, I would say, if you have any questions or want to learn more about this field. Those are great resources to go to. And you can email myself. So again, my name, Erin.Mandel-Schorser at humber.ca, or Cheyenne, who is our program coordinator. So SHYAM.Mohammed at humber.ca. And one of us will be able to answer any questions you have.
Perfect. Thank you both so much. This has been amazing. And this is why I love doing these sessions, because I get to chat and find out all the questions that I have, I can like ask. But at the same time, like everyone is learning, and just the depth of knowledge that, you know, our faculty have, and the passion that they have for our program. Sometimes we need to have these types of events and these types of sessions so people can actually see that it's not just a page on a web page on a website. Like, there are people behind these programs that are very passionate, and we want our students to succeed. So thank you very, very, very much. So with that, I'm actually going to share with you how you can get started. So to get started at Humber, the first thing you would need to do, I need to share my screen first. One of the first things you can do is to apply. So you apply online through ontariocolleges.ca if you're a domestic applicant. The fee is $110. So right now we're doing this session in the fall of 2023. These programs for these sessions right now, we're promoting the winter intake, the January 2024 intake. So the application fee is $110. And there is a limited offer. We're offering a free voucher for anyone who's interested in applying and maybe getting started in January. If you fill out, I'm going to be posting that later on. If you fill out that form, we'll be able to hopefully get you a voucher. You can apply for up to 3 programs at Humber. Again, apply early. Some programs are highly competitive. I know, for example, most graduate certificates, they don't typically have a grade point that you need, just the credential. However, for example, the addictions and mental health program does have a minimum requirement that's needed. And then for international applicants, you can apply on international.humber.ca. And I believe if you're looking to start in January and you're already here in Canada, there might be a voucher there as well. So Apply. So this is the application system on ontariocolleges.ca. But how do you start that application? You can actually start that application by just going on the program page. So every program page has this sort of like a pink button on it. When you click on this, it actually takes you to ontariocolleges.ca, where you can choose to be, whether you're an international applicant or you are a domestic applicant, you can sort of start your application. So again, easiest way to do so, just go onto the program page and start the application, or you can type in ontariocolleges.ca and start your application and find the program. You will need the program code would be something that you should be looking at as well. So what are some of the next steps? So say you've applied, hopefully you've gotten an offer. So the next steps would be actually confirming your offer. So you need to confirm. So sometimes even some students only apply for one program. You still need to confirm that this is the offer that you are wanting to accept, because people do apply and sometimes they get an offer and they decide, you know what, it's not the right time. So confirm your offer, pay your deposits, pay your tuition, and then register for classes. So you can see that there are some steps that are needed to sort of take you through into the next for you actually starting class in January, hopefully. And again, a lot of the programs, like the programs we're featuring now, start in January, but they do have other start dates, right? So for example, these two programs will also have a September, the addictions and mental health will have a September start date. And for health sector regulatory compliance, it only has a winter intake. So other next steps, power up your credentials. So we have 5 other sessions happening over the next 2 weeks. So the next one is going to be on Thursday. And yeah, I have the QR code here. You can go to humber.ca/powerup, or you can use the QR code that's on the screen to sort of take you to the website, and you can register for other sessions that are coming up. As you can tell, these sessions are extremely informative. I love taking part. I love being a part of them because I learned so much. This is a great opportunity if you're unsure of what you want to do. This is a great opportunity to sort of explore and see what else is available for you. And again, please feel free to share that with others who might have been here and maybe not know that, you know, these opportunities are available. So please feel free to maybe take a screenshot of this and then maybe share it a little bit later on as well. And again, so that's it for our session. Thank you so much. We're going to be opening it up for the January. Sorry, I'm reading the comment. We're going to be opening it up for questions right now. So if you have any questions, any follow-up questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. We also have an admissions officer here today as well, Danielle. So if you have any admissions for domestic admissions related questions, please feel free to put those in the chat. If you would like to use the microphone, you can use the raise hand function, and I'll unmute your microphone, and you can ask any questions that you may have. So Danielle, I know you've put this in the chat. Do you mind coming on camera and speaking to maybe the programs, the admissions, and when the intakes?
Sorry, my camera's not working today.
No, that's fine. That's
yeah.
audio, that's fine.
Yes, so we are offering, just wanted to make a correction. So we are offering a January 2024 and September 2024 intake for health sector regulatory compliance. Great. That's our first September intake. Yeah, so that's awesome. Great. Both great. Online. So they're both open for applications at this time. The admission requirements we have gone through, but for health sector regulatory compliance, we will be looking for a bachelor's degree, advanced diploma, or equivalent in a health or science related field. We advise applicants to apply as soon as possible. The equal consideration deadline date. So for the September 2024 intake, that's a new academic year. So that's the 2024 to 2025 academic year. We advise applicants to submit an application and complete their application by the equal consideration deadline of February 1st. If you apply and or complete your application after February 1st, we're going to look at your application on a first come, first served basis, depending on availability, and the programs can close at any point after February 1st.
Okay, great. And this is for domestic. Again, international might be different. And keep in mind, sorry, go ahead, Danielle.
Yes, sorry. So this program, so health sector regulatory compliance, is not available to international applicants. Yeah, that's just all I wanted to add about health sector. Did you have anything else to add?
Yes, so addictions and mental health is open. Catherine, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is open to international applicants. And I was just saying that even though, for example, say you're thinking of next year, right? So maybe the January intake is a little bit too soon. Usually our applications open up almost a year before. So for example, if you're looking for the September intake, right, for domestic students, that intake is going to be opening up on ontariocolleges.ca in October. Okay, for international students, I know for next year, that application opened up earlier this month, so around November 6th or so. So it is like I sometimes I know that like the timing can be a bit of an issue because sometimes like it's January, it's like, oh, well, I want to go back to school right now. But sometimes it does take time to sort of get when the application opens to when you're starting. And sometimes if you apply late, you might actually be on a wait list or the program might already be closed. But the programs that we're featuring in this series are still open for January and are still accepting applicants. So please feel free to, apply. And Catherine, did you want to add anything?
No, I was just going to confirm what you're saying. So normally the timeline is that we are accepting applications for the next 2 semesters. So as you mentioned, both the winter start and so the January start and the fall start are both open currently. I was going to confirm as well, we do accept international applicants. And the way that it works is that as applications come in, because just to share, one of the questions that I get sometimes is what is the deadline to apply? And what I would share is that the only hard and fast deadline is when the semester actually starts. You have to be enrolled, but otherwise I do still encourage people to try to get their applications in, because what happens is that we have a set number of seats available, and once those we fill those seats as the applications come in. So the sooner you get your application together, the more likely you are to have a seat. We do hold wait lists sometimes, and so that is a possibility too. So if you haven't applied yet, don't lose hope. There's still time and there's still spaces, but I do encourage you to consider doing so, particularly if you're looking for the January start. And again, if you have any questions about that process, there's the admissions department. There's also myself who is available to support you.
Great. And what I'm putting in the chat right now is a form that you can fill out if you're interested in starting in the winter semester, or any of our intakes really. So winter 2024, summer 2024, or fall 2024. And you're looking to maybe start and you want to maybe get that application going. We do have some free vouchers available. So I've put that form in the chat. Please feel free to fill that form out. Again, vouchers are limited. So it's basically on a first come, first serve basis, but please feel free to sort of use that form. And I'm actually going to see if I can share this as well. So for those who are maybe looking at this on the recording, so this is the QR code here as well for that form. Okay, so feel free to utilize that. All right. So are there any further questions? I don't see anything in the chat. We have a few minutes left. If you have any questions, you can just use the raise hand function or put it in the chat. However, if we've answered all your questions, which was my hope, asking the questions that I asked and having the discussion that we had. If not a problem. We will end this session now. So I'll just give it a couple more seconds. Okay, well, that's it. Thank you so much to everyone who is in attendance here with us today. It has been a pleasure being your moderator for this webinar. If you have other questions, you can always reach out to us at transferoptions@humber.ca. Please also feel free to, again, on our program pages, there's lots of contacts that are there, whether it's admissions, whether it's our program coordinators, financial aid information, fees information, that is all there. And it's a great resource that we've tried to make our website as robust as possible to give you the information you need to make a decision or to go to the next step. All right, so thank you so much. Have a great day, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.